So there is a formula to calculate the slope of a linear function. All right, that is, remember, slope is rise over run, which is the change in y over the change in x. To find the change of y, I need to subtract the two y coordinates. To find the change of x, I subtract the two x coordinates. I could do y sub 1 minus y sub 2 over x sub 1 minus x sub 2. It doesn't matter as long as what you start with belongs to the same point and what you end with belongs to the same point. Okay? So what I mean by that is, like, if in example 2, we're going to find the slope and then write the equation of the line that goes through those 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to label these x1, y1, and x2, y2. Okay, so to find slope, that's what we're going to start with. We have m equals y sub 2, which is 10, minus y sub 1, which is negative 2, over x sub 2, which is 2, minus x sub 1, which is 5. Okay, I take the y coordinates and I subtract them. Then I take the x coordinates, their respective x coordinates, and I subtract them. So the order does matter. Since I started with the 10 on top with the y, I had to start with the 2 on bottom with the x, because the 10 and the 2 belong to the same coordinate. All right, we got to be careful with our subtractions here. So we've got 10 plus 2, so we got 12 over 2 minus 5, which is negative 3. And that's going to equal negative 4. So my slope is negative 4. That's the first thing we need. All right. We also want to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, that goes through these points. All right. So we're starting with this equation, y equals mx plus b. We know what the slope is now, so we can plug in negative 4 for m. And we have 2 coordinates that we can plug in for x or y. Okay? I'm going to show you how to do this both ways. So we've got y equals mx plus b. First, I'm going to use the first coordinate. I'm going to plug in, so we got y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in negative 2 for y equals my slope, which is negative 4, times x, which is 5, plus b. I'm taking the x coordinate and the y coordinate of this point, and I'm plugging those in for x and y, and now the only thing left to solve for is b. Okay, so if I simplify this, I get negative 2 equals negative 20 plus b. Add 20 to both sides, I'll get 18 equals b. So now if I wanted to write the general equation, I would get y equals negative 4x plus 18. That's my linear function. Okay? Or we could use the second point, x, y. Okay? Plug in 10 for y, so we're starting with y equals mx plus b. Plug in 10 for y. My slope is negative 4. I plug in 2 for x plus b. If I simplify this, I'll get 10 equals negative 8 plus b. So b equals 18. So I get y equals my slope, which is negative 4x. And we just solve for b, which is 18. It's the same thing we got there. All right, so it doesn't matter which of these original coordinates that you pick to plug in for x and y. Okay, either way, you're going to solve for what your y-intercept is, your b value. Okay, let's go over another one. So we got x1, y1, x2, y2. So first thing we need to find is our slope. So m equals negative 4 minus 7. Change in y. And since I started with the negative 4, I need to start with the negative 12, the x sub 2 here, minus negative 12. Okay? Negative minus negative is plus a positive. So this is going to be negative 11 all over negative 12 plus 12, which is 0. All right? But if I check this in my calculator, you're going to get an error. You cannot divide by 0. So if 0 is in the denominator, this is an undefined slope. Okay? Which means we are dealing with a vertical line here. If I go up to what we covered in the previous, an undefined slope is a vertical line, which means that it's going to be x equals a number. Well, look at this. The x-coordinate is the same in both of these points. All right, so the equation of this line, which isn't a function, excuse me, which isn't a function, is x equals negative 12. The x-coordinate stays the same. All along this line, the x-coordinate is going to be negative 12, but the y can be whatever it wants. Okay, so x equals negative 12 there. What about in part C? If I do my slope, m equals, I'll do 8 minus 8 over negative 1 minus 1. 8 minus 8 is 0. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2, so that equals 0. My slope is 0, which means I'm dealing with a horizontal line here. If you notice, the y-coordinates are both 8. The y-coordinates didn't change, which means this entire line is going to be the horizontal line through y equals 8. Okay? If you have a horizontal slope, which is 0, if you're dealing with a horizontal line, it's going to be y equals a number. So in this problem, the y value is 8. Okay? What about in part D? D, last one for here. So we got x1, y1, x2, y2. So my slope, got to calculate that first. Negative 5 minus negative 15 all over 9 minus negative 6. Since I started with the negative 5, I need to start with the 9 on the bottom. All right, so we got plus a positive in both of these. So negative 5 plus 15, that's going to give me 10. 9 plus 6 is going to give me 15. Sorry, I got to clear my throat. 10 over 15. I do want to simplify my fractions when I'm dealing with slope. All right, 10 over 15, I can divide a 5 out of each of those. I'm going to get 2 over 3. So my slope is 2/3, which means I'm dealing with a positive linear function here. Okay? And then again, it does not matter which point you pick to write your equation. So we're starting with y equals mx plus b. I'm just going to pick this first point. What am I plugging in for y? Plugging in negative 15. What am I plugging in for m, my slope? I'm plugging in 2/3. What am I plugging in for x? I'm plugging in the x-coordinate, which is negative 6. And I don't know the b value. That's what we're solving for here. I'm solving for b. Okay? So 2/3 times negative 6 over 1. So this is going to be negative 15 equals, you can cross cancel here, negative 4 plus b. Add 4 to both sides. I'm running out of room. I'm going to get b equals negative 11. So the equation here is y equals 2/3 x minus 11. We have our slope. We have to now use a coordinate to solve for our b value, and then we can write the equation. Okay? All right, so that was a lot of good practice there. Okay, we're going to do one more problem in this video, and then we should be good to go. So we want to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, represented in this table. Okay? Then fill in the missing values. Well, we don't have any missing values here. Okay? Let me just make sure Yeah, we don't have any missing values there. Okay, let's imagine I'm going to cross these out just so we get a little bit of practice. So ignore what those were. Okay, so first off, we need to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to pick two coordinates. This one and this one. Does not matter which ones. Okay, I'm going to pick -2, 0, and 3, -7.5. All right, so if I want to find the slope of those, I need to find the change in y, so I need to take -7.5 minus 0 over the change in x, which is 3 minus -2. Okay, so this is going to be -7.5 over 5. If I use my calculator, there, where'd my calculator go? Oh, there it is. Calculator was hiding from me. So I take -7.5 divided by 5. That's going to give me a slope of -1.5. All right, that's the same thing if you want to deal with fractions as -3 over 2. All right, with rise over run, we typically like to deal with fractions because that tells me what specifically my change in y over my change in x is. So down 3 to the right 2. Okay, but you can do either. So now I'm going to pick one of these points and I'm going to figure out what my b value is. So we got y equals mx plus b. I plug in 0 for y. I plug in -3/2 for my slope, m. I plug in -2 for x, and I'm solving for b. So -3/2 times -2 is going to give me 3. So 0 equals 3 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides. I'll get b equals -3. All right, so my equation here is y equals -3/2 x minus 3. Okay? So now I want to fill in this table. Okay? If I want to fill in this table, I need to figure out what am I going to do with the 0 there? Well, there, x equals 0. So I'm going to plug that in for x. Y equals -3/2. Going to plug this in for x minus 3. -3/2 times 0, that's going to cancel out. So y equals -3. Or in this case, h of x equals -3. So if I erase this, you'll see we get -3. Okay? What about in this part? What's -21 playing the role of? -21 is playing the role of h of x, or y. So everywhere I see a y, I'm going to plug in -21. Okay? So from here, add 3 to both sides. So I have -18 equals -3/2 x. And then I need to multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of this fraction. And x is going to equal, if I cross cancel here, 3 goes to 1, -18 goes to -6. -12 times -6 is, or sorry, -2 times -6 is +12. So x equals 12 here. All right, so a lot of practice problems on here. Big idea is finding the slope, doing the change in y over the change in x, and then using that slope in one of the points to write the equation of the line. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, start working on your practice problems.